Hello dear ones, I am Eleonora from the channel The Awakening Path, and today I will share with you my twin flame story. It's a long story, but I will try to summarize. Some of you already know that we do make a plan before incarnation. It's like a blueprint. And guess what? We decided that my twin flame would come here to US, and I was born on a countryside of Piauí, Brazil. For you to have an idea, it's like I take a 12 hours flight to São Paulo, and then I take another almost 4 hours flight to the capital of the state. And then I take a more 3 hours drive, not 3 hours, actually almost 8 hours drive to the place where I was born. And I did make all the way here to Los Angeles to find my twin flame. Why my soul decided for such a plan? First, because the base that I need to be able to fulfill my mission, to do what I'm doing right now, was with the family I was born, the environment that I was born. And since the beginning, I had that feeling that I didn't belong there. It wasn't for me to grow up and live and die there forever. So I have that fire inside me to try things, to go forward. So I just try to go a little faster. When I was 6, from the countryside, we moved to the city, and I lived there until I was 14. And then I decided to move to a bigger city where my mom grew up, to live with my grandma and do high school. Yeah. I was 14 and I was able to convince my dad because I was his princess, but my sister gave me that idea. Go visit our grandma and look for a job. If you find a job, and then you'll be able to convince my dad to let you live there. So I went to Floriano, my grandma's town, and for 1 week, and I looked for a job and I found a job. So I came back to Oeiras, my hometown, and talked to my dad. I want to do high school in Floriano and live with my grandma. And I already found a job. Do you let me go? What do you tell? I was 14, but said, okay, go. Anything gets wrong, come back. That's what he said. So I went there and I was very successful there. I was able to get a job in a bank. I fell in love with computers. So, and then the fire started burning again. I don't think I'm supposed to live and die here. I think I need to go somewhere else. There is something push me forward. So I wanted to go to do college and to do anything with computer. And my little hometown, my town that I was living, didn't have, they have university, but they was small, they didn't have any in the computer yet. So I know, I will go to São Paulo. São Paulo is a big city. I already have some of my brothers and my sister living there. And I decided, with 19, I decided to go to São Paulo. So this time I just talked to my dad. I'm going to São Paulo because I wanted to do college there. Well, he would say I didn't depend on him anymore, but what he did, he went to São Paulo ahead of me to receive me over there, and he told to my brothers, she's gonna live with you guys until the day she wants. by saying that, by doing that, he was guaranteed that I will have safety, house, and food. So that's what my daddy did for me in his own way. And when I moved, he was there, and then he went back to his hometown. So I did college there, I did master in computer, and I had that feeling. I still feel that I don't belong here. Looks like I want to see the world. I really want to see the world. I don't belong here yet. And when I was exchange job, I got a position to work in a company. It was a big company, not really known, but it was an international company. But it would be like a senior programmer, let's say this way. After that, it's just to become a manager. But at the same time, the last minute, I got a position at IBM to get paid half of what the other would pay me. But and then I thought, what I do now? I have this position here that say you're already great, you already know a lot, so we want you forever. Or should I go to IBM and learn some new things? And then I had that thought. IBM is the window to the world. And that's what I did. I decided for IBM. I didn't stay longer there because really the policy, there was some things there that I didn't feel comfortable. So I started to look somewhere else. And I ended up getting a position to go to Rio de Janeiro, working as offshore. That means I would be physically in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, but all my work, all my co-workers was here from US. And I thought, that feels like I'm already, at least my brain is already there. To take the body won't take longer. So of course I was very excited with that position, and I accepted, and they did great. I went to Rio de Janeiro, and the only people that I could point on the street was the 3 people that I interviewed with, and the taxi driver that took me to the airport. And I told him, if I get the position, I call you, and then you pick me up to the airport to take to a hotel. So I will go to a hotel, and then I'll look for a place to live. And everything works out. I always have that feeling that I have no fear of the unknown. I just go and I know things always work out for me. And always been this way. So I went to Rio de Janeiro, and that city is crazy. I had a great job. I really enjoyed doing what I was doing. I went to live in a very, very amazing, like dream place for a bachelor to live. I was living in front of the beach. Suddenly I kind of have everything I needed. And I did a lot of friends there. I made a lot of friendships, and some really good ones that last until today. Sorry, I'm forgetting to breathe. I get excited. But there was something that wasn't quite right. I didn't feel home there. I didn't feel comfortable there. And mostly was because it's a tourist city, and many of people has a very different values. They value too much appearance and take advantage But of course, not everybody. There are some people that value friendship and all the good things too. But it was, I didn't feel, I didn't like it. I didn't like it to go on the streets. I didn't like it to go places. And I didn't feel safe going places. Although on the place I was, I felt very secure. And that was the time that I started to go inside. I started to try to understand more about myself. And I look for more like the spiritual side. Make sense of who is God? Who am I? Where I came from? What I'm doing here? So in Brazil, we have something that we call Spiritism Kardecist. That's a guy from France, actually, he's French, he was French, that he was a professor in a university, and he started to investigate some people that say that tables could talk. And by the investigation, I find out that actually it wasn't a table talk, it was a spirit trying to communicate using the tables to communicate. And everything started, and he wrote 5 books dictated by spirits. And the first book is amazing. I read like in 2 days. That's a giant book. But the first was a question and answers. And I saw that like maybe more than 90% of the questions, existential questions that I always have throughout all my life. And wow, this is good. So the first question was, what is God? And then I say, wow, somebody really had the courage to define who is God, what is God. And I'd say, God is this, this, and that. However, there is some aspect of God that we cannot comprehend because we have nothing to compare with. It's out of our awareness. And so, can't believe it. There's more to learn. So I started my research and I really, really learned a lot. I regret that I didn't start that in the first year that I went to Rio. I lived there for 5 years. And I think it was already in the 3rd year that I started. But I read a lot, especially because I was so amazed with the books and I read a book in a day. So I think that time, I know I read more than 500 books. I read a lot. And I couldn't just make sense of a lot of things. But and then you say, oh, okay. One of the main characters was the spirit, he died, whatever. And he met his mom. But I don't know where she was, where she lives. So she's in a higher place because she's more advanced than him. She has a higher vibration, but they didn't explain where she lives. Oh, okay. So it's not just die, go to the astral city and come back. There is more. So, and then I had that fighter again. I think I didn't mean to live and die here in Rio de Janeiro. But I'm not just go back to São Paulo. Now I'm going to the world. And I had some friend that was migrating to Australia. And then I started investigating, researching about Australia, and I say, okay, are you gonna move to Australia? And all the time, my twin flame was here, between Los Angeles and Oregon. That's where he was. And I'm trying to go to Australia. So I started the process. I contracted an agent, and I did everything when I was just waiting for the green ahead and say, okay, pack your things, you can come and you can work here. And then I got laid off from the job. There was a big transformation in IT at the time. A lot of people from US, they lost their job because they were outsourcing IT to India. So lots of people lost their job, including all my coworkers from here US. As they were the one who was paying me, and all the other accounts in Brazil was having the same problem, they didn't have nowhere to relocate me. So it's okay, I'm going, that's okay. So they laid me off, and the day that they laid me off, I was talking to a friend of mine that was living here, that I have worked with in Brazil, and she asked, I told her I had just got laid off, and then she asked me, what are you gonna do? And then I told her about Australia and everything. I heard that Australian people is not really very nice. Why you don't come here for 2 months and stay with me? At least until you get that agreement that you can go there. And then I thought, you know what? My coworkers, they were planning a farewell party in New York, and I really want to go because I really love them. I really had a good time working with them. I wanted to go. So I decided to come and stay with her for those 2 months until I get my decision to go to Australia. And then I brought all my papers and everything about the documentation to Australia. And then when I get here, my friend that is married, she told me, you know what, Eleonora, I think you should do a dating site. Doesn't need to be like to find a date. You just find a friend so he can take you out, he can take you places. Because I can't, I'm married, so I can't really take you everywhere. And she insisted and insisted and insisted, and I think that will be, and then I started research, I started doing, and at the same time that I was answering all the questions, I thought that was interesting because there was some words in English that I didn't know, and I researched, so I answered all the questions. It was about like 800 questions. It was crazy, which was in harmony. And then I did answer all my questions very honestly, expecting nothing. And I did get like 3 guys very interested in me, but I always been very truthful, so I told them, I'm not really planning to stay here. So I didn't really get to meet any of them. But and then, guess who contacted me then? My twin flame. It's like, he still remember the date. It was 26th of June 2009. And it took like almost 2 months just to get to a point where we could exchange message. And the first message, he didn't waste time. He just said, I want to call you. Here is my number. Call me back. I want to talk to you on the phone. And then when that happened, he sent me in a day. And the following day, I would go to New York for the party. So I didn't reply to him. I went to New York. I returned on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I decided, I'm gonna call him and see what's going on. So when I saw his picture, I just thought, it's not that handsome. But I did like his profile because I felt he was very genuine and he was helping out his grandparents. I could see that he had a good heart, and I like his personality. So that's why I continue, even though I didn't thought he was that handsome. But if you see the thumbnail, he is very handsome. So I just called him. And when I called him that I didn't identify myself, he just show so much happiness. It's like, I don't know how can you realize that somebody suddenly gets so happy on the phone. And by feeling his happiness, I felt a great happiness taking over my body. There was something very, very powerful through the phone. And then he really didn't waste time. It was a Tuesday. It's okay, let's meet it tomorrow. I said, okay, let's meet it tomorrow. So we meet. And when I saw him, I just thought, wow, he is handsome. That picture has nothing to do with him. He's very handsome. So I just stick my hand to do like a handshake. He pulled me close to him and hugged me. I said, oh, okay. My friend had told me, do not expect too much of him because Americans are slow. That's what she told me. They are slow. Maybe if you're lucky, they will kiss you in 4 weeks. I said, okay, I'm not sure about that, man. Because if I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. So, and then we went to a Starbucks to get some drinks, and there was that magnet. I just feel that I needed to be touching him, so I accidentally would just bump on him, and he would do the same. And every time that would happen, there was some electricity going through the body. That's how powerful those things are. And then he took me to Redondo Beach Pier. There was a beautiful sunset on the ocean. And when you turn to the other side, 180 degree, there was a beautiful full moon. And we in the middle of that. And every time that we would bump each other, the thing would catch fire. So we were always talking, and then after we had dinner, we kind of, we would just be walking, going from one place to another. And then we were walking, we decided to sit in a bench. I sat first, and then he sat. He sat like a feet away from me. And then I just thought, that's too far. So I sit closer to him to be like touch him. When I did that, he just picked me up. He was strong and very petite. He just picked me up and put in his lap. I said, huh, this is very different than when I was expected. I need to look at his face. When I look at his face, he kissed me. I said, wow. And we never stopped kissing. There was like, wow. There was really love in the first sight. And after 2 weeks, I supposedly to go back to Brazil. And I did get the result from Australia. And they deny. And it didn't make no sense why they deny. The reason why they deny was they said, your English is not good enough. But look, we need to do a test, it's like a TOEFL, but it's called IELTS. And I studied for 4 months to do that test, and I got, I think I got 5.5. And I was planning to do it again before I send the documentation. But I asked to the agent, should I do it again? Because I had done like a year before, and I knew I would be able to get at least a 7. And then I said, oh, don't worry, because I saw them approve people even with 4. So you're fine. And that was exactly the reason why they deny. They said that my English wasn't good enough to get a job there. What was not true. But I took that as a sign of the universe. I think the universe wants me to stay here. So I stay here in US. I decided, okay, I have a visa that will keep me here, a tourist visa that I can stay here for 6 months. And then in the back of his mind is, oh, she's gonna leave. Can't believe she's gonna leave. But after a month that we were dating, I decided, no, I can't. I cannot go back to Brazil. I need to give us a chance to know each other. So I transferred my visa to a student visa and I started studying English. That I didn't really need it, but I wanted to be in a legal state here. So I stayed that 1 year, and I tell you, that was the amazest, the happiest year of my life. One thing that you should know is your twin flame most likely will find you when you are in a very, very high vibration. You need to get to leave back all the baggages that you have. Why? Because when you get your twin flame, everything that you feel is multiplied. The intensity is too high. And you don't want to be dealing with lots of hates and fear and guilt and shame and feel that like 10 times more, 100 times more. That'll be too much. You don't want that. So if you didn't find your twin flame yet, work on yourself. Get rid of those traumas. You can do that by yourself. There is lots of videos showing how you can release trauma. You can look for a help of a professional like me that do healing energy healing through Reiki, and the help of the angels and archangels. There is QHHT. I just made an interview with a friend of mine that did it for me. You can do a reading with Akashic Records, or you can just do a psychic reading. There are so many things that you can really clean your mind through all the shadows and be in the present moment and realize that you are wonderful, already perfect, and attract your twin flame. During that year that I met my husband, I was literally shining. I never felt so happy and free in my life. I didn't like it to live in Rio, and that was the first time that when I arrived in Los Angeles, I felt home. For the first time, I didn't felt that I was home. But I think it wasn't really a home, a physical place. I think it was because I knew my twin flame was here. I knew that I would build something that would last here. And it was interesting that I would walk on the street, and everywhere I would go, I would attract the attention of people, everybody, men, women, children, everybody. I was really on the top of my game that time. And I had everything I needed. I was exploring here. When I left my job, I got a really good indemnization, got some money, and so I had money. I didn't have to worry about money. So I had everything and I was free. I was really free. That was really the best year of my life. Until I decided to go back to Brazil because one, my money was already in the end, and I didn't feel like, I think my husband was quite slow to take decisions, And I didn't felt it was my job to pressure him in any shape or form. But after 1 year, I decided that I had done my part. I allow us time to know each other. And I was done with my part. If we need to, if would be to continue, he need to do his. I don't know what his was or if he was ready for. So I decided to go back to Brazil. And when I told him, it kind of took his, he took him out of his comfort zone. And because I was doing everything, I was supporting myself here and everything, but then there was a time that I couldn't anymore. So he agreed with me, I can't support myself here anymore, so it's time to go back to Brazil. And then he got out of his comfort zone. And the next day he just arrived with like a pamphlet, a flyer from a house. Let's go see a house with me. I said, okay. He didn't answer, let's see a house to live together, let's get married, things like that. He just said, let's see a house with me. It's okay, let's go see I go see a house with you. And then we saw the house, and then we saw more a couple house, but he didn't mention anything about getting married, anything. He didn't even told if the house was, he was just thinking that I would, I don't know what he was thinking. So I just kept my ticket to go to Brazil, and it's okay. On the day to go to Brazil, he went to pick me up and take me to the airport. And I was sewing here, making clothes, to making bikinis, designs, things like to, because I like to sew. And then I was trying to take all those materials back to Brazil. And I got 4 luggage all overweight. We arrived at the airport with 2 hours in advance. But guess what? I played with the luggage for 1 hour and a half, trying to sort things out to leave and get the weight right. Until the guy, the attendant called me and said, what time is your flight? It's 2. It's 1:30, you lost your flight. What do you mean I lost my flight? I was right here, why you didn't told me before I lost it? But then I started to laugh inside because I knew spirits was on it. I just knew it, they were on it. I think there is something to happen. But let's just go with the plan. It's okay. So when's the next flight to Brazil? That will be in 2 days. So I just changed the flight to 2 days after. And then my husband started to say, no more Brazil. He called his grandparents and say, oh, Ellie lost the flight, she will stay with us until Sunday. But for me, he started saying, no more Brazil. I can't just not go. You know what you have to do so I can stay. So that's what I would tell him. And then we went to his house. I got another luggage, a bigger luggage, because it was 4, but one was small. I distribute all the weight. Those luggage will really pass. Oh, and I call my brother to say, look, tell everybody there that I'll take more 2 days to get home. So my husband continued, no more Brazil, no more Brazil. So I thought, you know what you need to do. I'm not, for example, I'm not just stay and then later on my granddaughter will ask me, Grandma, how Grandpa asked you to marry him? And then I say, Mom, oh my goodness, he never asked. That's not gonna happen. So, and the day you were supposed to go, I was ready, everything was ready. I had a time, and then here, please don't go. No, don't go to Brazil. And then there was a very comfortable chair in his room. So I just sit on the chair with my legs crossed, like in a yoga position. And then he asked, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm just getting comfortable to give you more time to decide. And then he fought for a minute or two, and it's okay. Let's go with the plan. You go to Brazil, and then I just go back, and later I go to Brazil and meet your family, and then get married. Okay, as you wish. So we went to the airport, and he going to the streets and said, oh, come on, take the freeway. If I lost my flight again, you're gonna have to marry me. So we got to the parking lot. We got all four luggage in a cart. He put all one on top of the other. So I take the elevator. When we were to cross the side streets, there was a little ramp. So 3 of the luggage fell on the floor, and there was a car waiting for us to pass. So I just pick up one of the luggage and wait on the other side. And he stopped in the middle of the street, and the car is patiently waiting. And then I told him, come on, let's go, we're gonna miss the flight again. So he just picked up the luggage and finished crossing the street and told me, I do. So the day before, actually his grandpa had suggested, why you guys don't just go to a court and get married? That's it. But I kind of told him, well, just get married in a church sounds too cold. But get married in Vegas sounds kind of romantic adventures. So he just said, I do. That's me. I do. Let's go get married in Vegas. And I was just thinking, I do? That's not exactly the question. But then I thought, it's good enough. Okay, let's go get married in Vegas. So I picked up the luggage, went back to the car. We stopped at his grandpa's house just to leave 3 luggage. I took the one with a white dress that I had. And then when we get there, it was too late. We decided to get married the next day. But then when we woke up, he asked, would you marry me at my church? If I call my pastor, he can marry us even today. I said, okay, call him. If he say yeah, so we do it. So called and then said, okay, I met you guys, but first I need to meet her. And then we meet him, and then he made us answer like 100 questions to see if we're compatible. And then there was, let me see, there was a Wednesday when we talk, he reviewed everything and said, well, the only day I'm busy Thursday and Friday, so the only day I'm free, the next day I'm free to do the wedding is on Saturday. And so far, my parents had no idea I was going to get married, and his parent either. But and then I told him, look, 3 days is too late for my parents to come. But your parents is in Oregon. It's on our flight. You need to tell them. I don't want to tell. My mom will change everything. I said, well, you better do it, or she'll be really mad on you. So he called her and told her, and then said, I want to be there, but your sister is getting a baby anytime, delivering the baby anytime. Can you postpone 1 week? And then when I dropped from the school and I was supposed to have like a month to leave the country. And I use exactly all the days. So, oh no, I will be out of status, so I want to work, blah, blah, blah. And then I felt that she was really disappointed. As I was just thinking, that's not a good way to start. So I was just thinking, I have friends that stay here out of status for 40 years more to get married, and then suddenly nothing happened. And what's the problem for me to stay for 2 weeks? And then I don't think we have any problem. We can wait. So we decided to wait the 2 weeks. And I called her and said, okay, we're gonna wait for 2 weeks. And then I'll give the date to her. And that's really changed everything. Because a week from the wedding, we were debating if he would invite. Oh, and she said, I go, but my friends that love you since you're a baby, they are going too. And I said, okay, if my mom's friends are going, I need to invite my aunts and uncles. So we'll get about 30, 40 people. But how are we going to invite my uncles and aunties and tell them to not bring your kids and grandkids? What do you do? So we decided to invite the whole family, and suddenly we have more than 100 people. And I was planning to get married with that dress, nice dress, a little bit under the knee. But then I thought, wait a second, I am gonna marry in a church for more than 100 people with a short dress? No. I don't think that will work out. So I just talked to the people from the church and then said, just go to Dave's bridal. They will give you a dress today. And then he took me to the Dave's bridal. I get there, and then he always liked to call me princess. So I want to look like a princess, so I draw the type of dress that I want. Do you have something like that? So I do. And then I put the dress. I love it. It was a little loose, so it's okay. I'll come back tomorrow to do the measurements and also to get all the accessories like veil, jewelry, things like that. Because I had a meeting in Zoom, no, I think it was Skype that time, with my brothers, so my brothers could see my husband. And then we paid the dress and we came back the next day for the dress. And they had to tell my parents. So they didn't have a phone in the countryside, so I called my uncle. In a day that I knew they used to go to the city, and I was really, really hoping that my mom would pick up the phone. But guess what? When I called, my dad was the one who was there. And see, now I'm gonna have to tell my dad straight, because I don't know if that way with you. But if you want to say something hard to your parents, you tell your mom, you explain to her, and then she explained to the dad. And everybody got peace. I don't know if that way with you guys, but that was my plan. That didn't work out because my dad was the one who was in line. And I just had to tell him. And I told him, I'm going to get married. And he was mute for about a minute. That sounds like 10 or an hour. And I asked, you're not gonna tell me anything? And he said, what do you want me to tell? I'm gonna marry a guy that speaks a language that I don't know. When I'm talking to him, I don't know if they are saying bad words to me or not. You are to do whatever you want, but... And then I started to get emotional, but then I stopped for a second and hang on a minute. I'm not the victim here. his little princess just told that she's gonna get married to a guy that he never met before and live in another country. So, and then I said, we had another plan that I will go first and then he'll go meet you guys, get married, and then come back. But that will be too complicated with the papers and visa. And we just decided to get married first, legalize everything, get the papers, and then we go and get married over there in Brazil. So that's what I promised my dad, that I would get married again in Brazil. Because they wouldn't be able to come. They didn't even have the passport. Those things are not fast there. I think know where it is. So, and then he was a little happier. I arranged a meeting so he could see my husband. And I taught my husband how to ask my dad to marry me in Portuguese. And he did. That was the cutest thing ever. And then after my dad saw him, he was more peaceful. And we got married here. And then after 1 year, we went to Brazil and we got married there in a Christmas Day in 2011. With to all my friends from Piauí and all my friends, people that saw me growing up. That was really amazing. And in the countryside, we did the party in the countryside, and there was like everybody from the neighborhood. And that was really an amazing time. And that's my story, but of course, that's not the end. Because life is just the same for everybody, if you are a twin flame or not. You're gonna have the challenges, but after you love and why you decided to meet your twin flames, the main idea is to get to a point that you already got to balance the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy. That's mean you are, in case that you are a woman, you are a woman that can be nurturing and caring, but also can be very driven and have determination and courage, and nobody mess with me. And if you are a man, you have that power, that feeling of protection, want to protect, but at the same time you are sensitive and you are kind. So you are in balance, and I can see that in both of us. Of course, we do not agree in everything. Thanks God we don't. The reason why you don't agree with everything with your spouse is you learn one thing, he learn another thing, you guys get together, discuss, and then you both learn two things. Now if you go always to the same place, learn the same thing at the same time, that will be a delay in learning. And you think about that. But when you have love, the challenge gets so much easier. I guarantee you. Gets so much easier. Because the problem with most of the marriage are people forget to express love. And I think there is a picture that I love, because when I feel challenged with our relationship, I like to see that picture that he is looking at me in our wedding day in Brazil, that I could see so much love in his eyes for me. So I know that he loves me unconditionally, and he wants the best for me. That doesn't mean that he needs to not love himself and sacrifice and everything. No, but he really loves me. and I love him. I will do whatever I can for his happiness too. So, wow, much love and light to you. I hope you meet your twin flame, but if you didn't meet yet, just get ready. Just get ready for him or her. Happier you get, less baggage you have, more imbalance you get with the divine feminine energy and masculine energy, you would be getting ready to meet. Much love and light to you, and see you next time.